Milo, is that you?
There, I think I got it. Eventually,
Yeah.
Eventually,
Don't eat the shrimp.
Eventually, we'll introduce him. He has no idea what he's in for.
He has no idea what he's getting into.
Yeah. He thinks it's going to be.
Yes. He thinks it's going to be a lark.
Yeah. Once he's in, he can't leave.
Yeah. Once every time I try to get out,
you can check out, but you can never leave.
Exactly.
Hotel AML.
There you go. Hotel AML. Did you finally get out of jail, Kelly?
I was in jail.
Yeah, I remember that when we were doing okay. We were doing okay, but when you started on the bus tour, when you started standing in the middle of the intersection directing traffic.
No, I was blowing the whistle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And the local constabulary took a dim view of that, if you recall.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's been such a traumatic experience, it's erased from his mind.
Yeah, maybe that could be it, too.
That could be it.
Yeah,
and then the bus company is going to charge you for the damaged luggage rack where I was laying upon.
Yeah.
The final damage isn't through, but I'm figuring something. I can't believe this thing cost me like $3 or $4 grand by the time it was done. And I can't, but I had that much fun, so that's okay.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun watching all the proceedings going down.
Exactly.
Then I didn't think they had to strip search Kelly right in the intersection, but who am I to know?
Last I saw Tom, as I was pulling away, he was still sucking on that paper bag.
Yep, deep press.
Yeah.
Wait till it rains and that fertilizer kicks in on his lawn.
Oh.
Yeah.
God.
So how long is it? How was your mother, Kelly?
No, she's doing good.
That's good.
I saw her Saturday and Sunday, and then I spent the rest of the time in area of Reading.
Doing what? What did you do in Reading? Just waiting for the party to start?
Well, I was going to hang out at places.
You were going to hang out at places without...
Yeah. Well, I stay at the hotel. Sunday night, I stayed at the hotel. And
Monday, you just hung out at places.
Monday, I was,
I asked Tom if you could come over, but he wouldn't let you.
No.
You know what you should do.
But I snuck over there anyway.
Did you go and see Jerry Britton? I hope with that extra time you went and saw Jerry Britton's later.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. You got that all arranged ahead of time?
No.
Just knocked on his door about 5:00.
Yeah.
Jerry.
I want to see your layout, Jerry.
Yeah, Jerry. Jerry, can I see your trains, Jerry? All right. Tonight we're going to talk to a guy. So at the last Springfield event, when was the last time you were in Springfield, Kelly?
God, it was probably before 2009. Because every time Springfield happened, because that was when I was working at the firehouse.
Right.
And every time Springfield happened, there was overtime that I had to take. So I couldn't get up there.
You had to take it or you chose to take it?
Well, I had to pay bills and pay the mortgage and everything else.
What were you doing? Putting most of it in your arm or something?
No, I had the apartment in Westport.
Oh, that's right.
Actually, I'm trying to think. That was after. So I sold the house in Arizona. So that meant we were renting a house here. I was with Yanti at the time.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
When did you meet Yanti? What year did you meet Yanti?
1990, in the early 90s.
And I forget, how did you meet her? She was working at...
She was doing an article for my ex-wife for a magazine. Oh, I can't get to it. For the New Age magazine that my ex-wife was doing.
Right.
And I met her when she came over to the house to go over the article that she was going to do for the magazine.
And she fell head over heels for you.
Yeah. Well, actually, I fell head over heels for her. And then
okay.
we kept running into each other. She came out.
I'll bet you did.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, we did.
Oh, yeah, I bet you did.
We stayed. My ex-wife and I stayed out in Florida. Jeez, that's a Freudian slip for sure.
He's all flustered now.
Yeah.
We stayed out at Fire Island. We rented a house out there on the beach, and Yanti came out. We had a great time, and spent a lot of time with her and my son William, and it was great.
Kelly, I want the whole world to know this.
And plus, you haven't. Yeah.
No, hang on. I want to make a statement that I want the whole world to know before I start torturing you again.
Well, you always do. So
I know
that's normal. That's normal.
But I love you. I absolutely love you. You are like one of the lights of my life.
Well, it's because you're my brother from another mother and father. Yeah.
Because you keep. Because one of the things is you keep. Because now all I want to do is say. So let me get this straight. You and your wife ex-wife that you had yet to divorce had rented on a house on the Fire Island. Where's Fire Island?
Fire Island is off Long Island.
Okay.
Sort of north of Jones Beach, if anybody knows that. And then there's 4 or 5 communities there.
All right. And your ex and then your current wife, she came out to visit you and you got to spend lots of time with her.
Well, she spent time with us. And,
okay.
And while my ex-wife is working on the magazine, she was doing stuff,
you were working on Yanti.
No, jeez.
That's rude, and I apologize. Yeah, exactly. That's rude, and I apologize to everybody out there.
But anyway, so
I should probably. Yeah, go ahead.
And then I got the separated and divorced, or was going to be, and I ended up going to what was it? My ex-wife had this idea of creating a New Age center in Sedona, like nobody's done that before, and she wanted me to advertise it. So she had me signed up for a New Age show in Danbury, Connecticut, and it just so happened that Yanti was at a table there, and it just happened to be that we were both sharing that table. So we saw each other again. So that was good. And so then eventually I got the divorce, and
you are just you're like a Casanova. You and Jacobs, the two of you and the Queso Cowboy.
Casanova.
The two of you, between the two of you, you've had 5 wives. Like, holy
no, I have
3 wives.
Ex-wives. I have 2 ex-wives.
Yeah, you've had 3 wives though.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's had 2. So between the two of you, you've had 5. Bruce's 3 plus 2 add up to 5.
According to my fingers and my calculator, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, enough.
We can grab a 6-year-old off the corner to confirm if you want.
Yeah, exactly. So tonight we're going to talk to a fella, and I'm still not 100% sure how to pronounce his last name. It's Homoki. Homoki? I think that's it. Let's get him in here and ask him. That'll be our first question.
It'll be the first question.
Yeah, it'll be our first question. Come on in here, guest. Come on into the studio and say hi to everybody.
Hello, Lionel.
Yeah.
Bruce.
Yeah.
Kelly.
Yeah. Scratch your microphone just so I'm 100% sure that it's working. Stop scratching your microphone, will you? What's that? What's that scratching noise?
Is that a moat in the wall again?
Mouse in the installation.
Yeah, exactly. And today, the Duke he went and got the same microphone that you and I have, Bruce.
Beautiful.
But I'm concerned that we have to figure out a way for him to be able to hear his voice through his headphones. So we got to try.
Yeah, and last we chatted with him, he was going to consult with his audio specialist to see if they could do something.
On the front of mine, there's a little thing where you plug in the, whatever you call that jack, the bigger jack. Yeah. And it's for the headphones. I bet you
I've got my headphones plugged in on the front.
Yeah, and you don't hear your voice in there.
I don't know if I do or not. I hear myself talking, but I've never really paid attention if it's coming through my headphones or not.
Well, it'd be echoing if it was.
Well, then
right?
Take your headphones off and see if yeah. Where did my jack go?
When I'm talking. That's I don't know.
Where did my jack thing go? I had it right here.
It's plugged in.
No, I don't have. I have my headphones plugged into my. I think I have my headphones plugged into my computer, so that I don't hear myself talking.
Mm.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
Yeah. So let's
I'll have
hope.
to look at my Focusrite manual.
Yeah, would
later.
you please?
See what it says.
That's right, because we want the table master to be comfortable.
Yes.
Jim,
That reminds me, I've got to make a note.
Yes, Lionel.
are you still here?
Yes, I'm here.
Perfect. Can you move the microphone 1/4 of an inch closer to your mouth, please, and thank you.
All right, let's try that.
That was more like 5/16.
Ah,
So, am I pronouncing your name correctly? Is it Jim?
yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, there you go. How do you pronounce your last name?
You had it exactly right, Homoki.
Homoki, because it's Homika.
Okay, Homoki.
OKI. Ah, see, somebody told me I had spelled it wrong, and they gave me a different spelling again. And I went and looked at and I'm thinking he doesn't know how to spell his name. There it is, Homoki. Yeah, Homoki. There it is. Boom. So
A lot of people.
go ahead.
Sorry.
No.
A lot of people think that sounds very Japanese, but it's actually Hungarian.
Oh, is it really? How many times have you been married?
Only once.
That'll have to be a new question we ask. How many times have you been married?
New Kelly question.
Yeah, new Kelly question. I have a great new Kelly question. I'm going to try it out on Jim.
All right, good.
Jim, when you go to heaven, what are you laughing at? It's a good question. Wait till you hear the whole question before you start. When you go to heaven and you go through the pearly gates, who's the one model railroader you want to meet?
I'll say John Allen.
All right, good answer.
Good answer, yeah.
See, the key to that question, Kelly, is you don't say if you go to heaven, you say when you go to heaven.
Yes. You got to be positive.
Yeah, you got to be positive. Yeah, I'm positive I'll be just passing by those gates.
Yeah. Observing the speed limit while you go by.
Yeah, exactly. John Allen, exactly. I think I'd like to meet him too in Monterey. That would be pretty cool. Who else would I like to meet? I think I'd like to meet Frank Ellison. Who would you like to meet there, Kelly? When you go to heaven and you get to the pearly gates, who's the one model railroader you want to meet?
John Armstrong.
Oh, good answer.
Yeah.
What about you, Bruce?
I've already met John Armstrong, so it'd be nice to meet with him again. It's a toss-up between Frank Ellison and John Allen.
Yeah. Model railroaders the past. I was going to say Lynn Westcott, but I met him. So I already know he's a great guy. All right. Anyways, I met Jim in Springfield at the Hampton Inn. We were all sitting around. Was that on the Saturday night, Jim, or the Friday night?
That was the Friday night. Okay.
And we were all sitting around at the big table in the lobby. And somehow you and I got chatting. And then I said, and you were a chatty kind of guy. And you knew of the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, hey, you want to be on? And that's how we finally hooked up. We finally made our way around, and now we're going to do you. Now we're going to do you. We're going to.
Did you lock the door so you can't get out?
Yeah, exactly. You're going to be done by the time you get finished with this podcast. Yeah, we're going to do you. All right. So you're So let's start with the simple stuff. Have you been a model railroader your whole life?
Yeah, I'd say my whole life. I remember ever since 7 or 8, I really liked trains, so it's been continuous.
Did your dad have any kind of an interest in it, or is it just something you've picked up on?
No, he didn't. He had an ancient Lionel set we'd set up a couple times a year, but that wasn't because of him that I had an interest. It's just something that I liked. I also grew up very close to really what was then Penn Central main line in central New Jersey, so I would see trains every day.
Right, you're a Penn Central guy, aren't you?
Yes. And C&J.
And C&J. Which do you think you're more interested in, the Penn Central or C&J, or equally?
Right now, it's pretty equal. It used to be more PC, but C&J is a very modelable railroad where you could touch on just about everything, where PC was so vast that you really need to focus in on one area.
Right. Man, how big is your layout?
Oh, probably 500 or so square feet, with part of it being a double deck.
Right.
The main line, the C&J main line, is around 440 feet.
How is this? Besides me being able to look at the, and I sent it along to our cohorts here. Besides us being able to look at the track plan, is there any place on the internet that people can see your track plan?
No, there isn't yet. I suppose someday I'll get around to being more involved with the internet and posting things. And there's probably bits and pieces, photos people have put up here and there, but I haven't done anything that really shows what my layout's about, and not in Facebook or on
Right.
websites anywhere.
Would you object to us putting it on our website?
No,
Okay.
no, that's fine.
All right.
Yeah,
cool.
I've never objected to anybody taking photos or anything. That's fine. I just hope they take decent photos when they do.
Well, exactly. So how long have you been working on this layout?
Oh, it's probably we've been in the house here 28 years, and I started fixing up the basement right after we moved in. So you can almost consider that starting on the layout, because you need a decent space for your layout.
Right.
So right from the beginning, it probably took a year and a half before that was ready, and then construction of the layout started.
And you live in New Jersey somewhere, do you not?
Yeah, in the central part of New Jersey.
And how far from New York City are you?
Less than an hour.
Okay. What's the nearest New Jersey-esque town you're around?
I'm just north of Princeton, south of Somerville.
Okay.
Those are the two towns. If you really want to get technical, I can make it to Staten Island in 40 or 45 minutes. That's New York City, but it's not what most people consider New York City.
No. Well, if you're a New Yorker, you would. Isn't Staten Island on the other side of Manhattan?
It's south of Manhattan.
Oh, really? I'm not well read in the geography of New York City. But how do you think this is going so far, Kelly?
It's going good.
Okay.
I'm looking at his track plan right now.
Yeah, that's pretty fantastic, isn't it? So how much of this track plan is done? Like, is all the track in, and you started on scenery, and
it's fully operational, has been operational for over a year, and I'm starting on scenery in the double deck section, which is an expansion I did about 2 years ago. The original part is probably 80 or more % complete with scenery.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and you don't have any. You got to get a Facebook page, Jim. I'm telling you, it's one of the things I always insist on our guests. Like, you got to get a Facebook page so people can share. You can share it with the world, because people would like to see it. I don't understand why people with layouts like yours that are well along don't have more. Are you concerned about having it on the internet, or?
No, it's really just more of time to do everything.
Right.
You're not the first one to suggest that either.
Okay. All right. Are you lazy?
Oh, no. I am busy all the time.
Oh, okay. All right. So you say you expanded by adding a second deck?
Well, if you look at the track plan, there's an area that's double deck.
Yeah.
And all I had before that was a return loop and some staging. So I ripped out that little section and then expanded into the double deck, both the lower and the upper part.
And what prompted you to do that? Like, what was the driving force behind that? Was it somebody else's layout, just the way your operations were going?
There's actually several things. The first thing about it all is that a lot of people wait for the perfect time and the perfect situation to work on a layout, start a layout, or start any project for that matter. And I never expected to be in the house this long. We said be here maybe 10 years, buy another house, have a growing family, all that kind of stuff. Well, we never did move. So if I was holding off on a layout, that would have been 10 years down the drain with no progress. And then maybe we'll still move in a few years. And I just wanted to do something new, a little bit different. I've seen a lot of double deck layouts. My operating interests have grown a lot since I originally put this together. And I said, I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but I'm just not going to wait. I'm going to move ahead and work on this thing. I'm going to have some fun. And if it has to be torn down, eventually it gets torn down.
I'm not
putting a timeline on it.
That's a great attitude. That is a great attitude. Just go ahead and do it and let the chips fall where they may, in other words.
So I was just reading something. I forget where it was, not that long ago. I know it was in Tony Custer's book on saving how to save time building a layout. He says too many people fret and fret and fret about the perfect solution. They never get anything done. Go ahead and do something. At least get something underway. If you make mistakes, no big deal. You start over again. You learn from your mistakes.
I agree, absolutely. Putting up the bench work, I really didn't have much of a plan. It was all in my head. And I did recruit a couple friends because I didn't want this to take forever. But you could probably put up and rip down a section of bench work twice in time some people just spend thinking about it. So it's really not a big deal.
And actually, bench work isn't that hard. I think that would be something that people would be well advised to try to learn. I mean, it's really not that hard. I mean, I just did L girder legs, or like I just did 90 L. What do you call the legs that I did, Bruce? They were at 90.
You did wall brackets.
Yeah, I did wall brackets. I made wall brackets, and then I just put the layout on top of that. I beamed it on top of that, and before you know it, boom, you got a whole pile of bench work done. The superstructure of it, anyways. It's really not that hard, and I think it scares a lot of people. And I think if you just built like a small section and kind of went from there, I think pretty quickly you'd start to get a little bit more relaxed and be able to do more and more.
Yeah. Now, a double-decker, of course, is a lot more complicated.
Yeah.
And that takes a little bit more planning and knowledge, but there's plenty of information out there on ways it can be done.
So when you built the double-decked section, did you take out that whole part of the layout and basically start from scratch?
It was only about 10 feet of layout plus a visible staging section, so it wasn't that much layout that had to go.
Okay.
Not really a big deal.
Right, exactly. And then you put in, but I mean, it's a pretty neat area that you got in there. How many cars do you think you'd have on this layout? This is a pretty big. It's
a fair size endeavor.
Yeah, this is a pretty. What's the word I'm trying to think of? Ambitious.
Yes.
A pretty ambitious track plan you got here. Did you have any help with the track plan, or did you do this yourself?
No, I did it all myself.
Wow. And it's all inspired by the prototype.
Yeah. The original section is clearly freelance. I wasn't trying to replicate any specific locations or buildings. It has a feel of main line across New Jersey. But then for the expansion, I've got so much more knowledge these days and there's so much more information available. I wanted to duplicate some real locations. And that's what part of was that inspired me to do something different and give it a shot because I just know a whole lot more. And the old part was really too good to take down. So I just made it larger.
He just added to. Well, I did that with my layout. It was a 20 by 20 layout. Then I added another section that was like 12 by 10 and just took out a hunk of layout and redid it and all that stuff. That's half the fun, really. I mean, I think that's part of the thing is people get too concerned about the final product or something. It's what you say. You just go ahead and do it and let the chips fall where they may, because at the very least...
I think too many people are worried about making mistakes. And if you don't make mistakes, you'll never learn. Like life is an ongoing process of making mistakes and learning from them.
Exactly. I mean, look at this. Podcast has been going for 8 years and we haven't done one right yet.
There you go. Perfect example.
It's just a constant ongoing running mistake.
Yeah.
Okay, Jim, I got a tough question for you because you're big into the hobby. You're obviously a fan of railroading and trains like all of us. What is it about this hobby? What is it that draws people to this hobby?
I think it's the creativity and the fellowship, the people you meet. And I think if you don't go out and meet anybody, you're actually missing a lot that you can get out of the hobby.
Yeah. That's a huge part of this hobby, and that's what social media has helped with that. You got to have a Facebook page, Jim. I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to put my foot down, and you got to go out and do that. People would really like to follow along and see photos and things like that.
All right, I'll have to do that just for you then.
Yeah, all right. You know what? We'll pause the podcast and we'll put on.
We got lots of elevator music.
Yeah, we'll put on some elevator music, and then we'll wait while you go start your Facebook page, and then when we come back,
we'll pick her up again.
Okay, so we're back. Jim's gone off, and he started to look at Facebook and try to figure out how to make a Facebook page, and he's well on his way. Now, it's that only took you, a couple of days?
Oh, yeah, that's all. It was easy.
Okay, so now I want to talk to you about operations in the New Jersey area, because you're pretty big into that too, aren't you?
Yeah, I like operating, and I'm far from an expert. There's people that know a lot more about the ins and outs, but I like doing it, and it's something I wanted to incorporate more into the layout when I expanded it.
Right, and do you have regular operating sessions?
Yes, generally monthly.
And are you part of, because there's a lot of operating layouts in that part of the world. Like, how far are you from Dave Abley's? I'm
35 minutes from Dave's.
Yeah, so wow. that whole area, that whole area's got there's a ton of layouts in that area, isn't there?
Yeah, there is.
How many layouts are you part of operating groups?
There's one layout I just about always attend in Bethlehem, PA, and then another one in outside of Trenton, which is not too far away, and I occasionally get up to other layouts.
Okay, what's the one in Bethlehem?
A fellow named Bob Stetzer. He's got a Penn Central layout. There's more than one. Some people are surprised to hear that there are Penn Central layouts.
How far is Bethlehem from Central New Jersey?
He's about an hour, 10 minutes from me, where I am.
All right. And how many guys does it take to operate your layout?
10 is a good crew.
Is it hard to get 10 guys?
No, it really isn't. I have a pretty big list to pull from, and I could dig deeper if I'm short, but I rarely have to.
And how far? Like, what do you send out a thing like an email? Like, do you have regular guys and then you'll fill in the last 3 or 4 guys with the list, or?
I have a pretty large list with some people being regulars and some people being occasional attendees. There are a few people I have to have, such as a dispatcher, critical now for the layout to run correctly. And a few guys are capable of doing that. So
yeah, what do you use for dispatching?
We have phones set up on the C&J. I have to just clarify that only the C&J side is running on timetable and train order, where the Penn Central side of layout is just traditional verbal clearance with me as the superintendent and dispatcher of that section.
Do you ever run your own layout?
Almost never. Only if somebody has to leave early or we're short. Yeah, I rarely ever run it.
You mostly do the dispatching on the Penn Central side.
Yeah, and that's easy to keep track of. But somebody always has to be available on a layout because stuff happens, and no matter how careful you are, and even though you just staged a train an hour ago, you pull it out, and now there's a problem, and you kind of wonder why. I got to say, it does run very well, but stuff happens, and I can't be tied down at a desk or anything like that.
Yeah, that's right. But so you feel like confident that the layout does run pretty well, because we'll be asking around. We'll be checking up on that.
Well, when you make it out here, you can give it a run.
That's true. There you go. That's for sure. So, okay. And because that, like I say, that's a huge, there's a ton of layouts in that area, eh? Like, do people kind of try to work together? Like, do you try to make sure that your layout, your operating night isn't the same night as somebody else? Like, do all you guys kind of try to work together that way?
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of years ago, a schedule was put together that had all the North Jersey layouts and Eastern PA layouts, just to try to ensure that there's no conflicts.
Oh yeah,
and that didn't even include a lot of the South Jersey layouts. There's several in Burlington County, and then you go a bit to southeast from there in the Toms River area. There's several layouts. So overall, there's many.
It's very, very strong in that area. And then there's the guys, those tri-state railroader guys with Don Iris and Ray Arnott and Mark Herrick and those guys. I guess they're not that close to you because they're more towards Rhode Island.
Yeah, they're further away.
How long would it take you to get to Springfield?
That's 3 hours 15 about.
Oh, all right. Okay. I always imagine that Northeast area is much tighter than it is. You know, you start talking to guys in New Jersey, and you're always thinking, okay, New Jersey's like the size of a postage stamp, which it's not. It's a relatively large state. And you're thinking, okay, so everybody's, just around the corner from each other. But the problem is, too, there's no real central way, easy way to get around New Jersey in the Northeast because of the Appalachian Mountains.
Yeah, and even within the state, most of the roads are more geared towards New York and Philadelphia, and then east from New York. So if you need to go certain directions, you end up taking county roads a lot of times to get there.
So how long have you been having operating sessions on your layout?
Oh, probably 22, 23 years. It's another thing I started very early on. As soon as we had everything running and a system was developed.
And do you have you must have a couple of regular buddies that like you're always working with.
Yeah, I do.
And their names are?
They are Rob Pisani,
right.
There's one, Greg Snook, Jim Albanowski.
Okay.
Bob Stetzer, I mentioned, he's a regular operator.
Right. And you're a big you're got a lot to do with the Penn Central Railroad Historical Society too, right?
Yeah, that's an interesting group. And when it was formed, I decided I wanted to be part of it, and that grew into becoming the president for 9 years. as sometimes happens when you stick your head up, you get pulled into it.
Yeah.
But that was rewarding, and 9 years is long enough.
Yeah. So have you just recently stopped being the president, or?
Oh, that's probably about 7 years ago.
Okay. Yeah.
But I don't regret it at all, because I could say I've done that kind of thing. And until you get involved in society and really any kind of society, it's so easy to criticize people and say, oh, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. But if you haven't been part of it, then you may not realize it's not so easy.
That's for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Being part of anything and being effective in anything, you gotta commit to doing it right. Or if you commit to anything, and you want to do it right, it's time consuming. Especially even for example, say you lived in a town where there was like a one central park where there was an HO club and a live steamers and a garden railway, and you wanted to be the president of all of it. That would take a lot of time. And then you had a radar gun, and you were always watching out to see how fast people were going. How often do you listen to the podcast?
I try to keep up with it as they come out. I've listened to quite a few going back, close to 2 years. At this point.
How did you find out about it?
I don't know. It may have been the shirts that the Start Brothers wear. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
There you go.
How often do you see them? You see them at the Garden, what is it, the Garden State Division or something?
Yes, I do. They usually attend our division meets.
And you're not, there's no chance that you're currently the vice president of that, are you?
It's a good chance.
Yeah, be careful, because I know a guy that'll want to be the president of it. He wants to be the president of every model railroad club.
Well, what happens with vice presidents when presidents term out.
Yeah, they become presidents.
Yeah.
Is that the division? No, Kaylee was in the nutmeg division.
Yes,
that's right. She's up the road a little bit. So you're the VP, and now you're in your 8th year as editor of the newsletter.
Yes. Yeah, that's another thing I was kind of talked into, but again, I don't regret it. It's kind of an interesting job. It's only 4 times a year. It's not such a big load to worry about.
It's pretty good. So, have you got it online? The looks like it's online, is it?
Yeah, all the issues are online at the Garden State Division website.
Oh, okay. Look at this. So the winner 2022. There's a column by the president and a column by the editor, Jim Homoki. Wow, that's a pretty slick little thing you got going there. I like it.
Yeah, the previous officer, Chuck Diljak, actually created that layout. So I can't take credit for the layout, but
Right.
It's a time effort to put everything together and make sure it looks good and fix the typos and all that.
Oh, I see you guys went to the north. I remember David started telling me about that. You went to Northlands. That Northlands. What exactly is that?
It's a humongous display of an HO layout. It's not a model. I don't call it a model railroad. It's a HO model display, and it was featured in Model Railroader back when it opened up. I don't know, 20 years ago or whatever. I don't remember how long ago that was.
Right.
And I remember some of the hubbub about whether it's really a model railroad or not. But it's kind of an amazing thing, no matter what you want to call it, because it's so large.
Yeah, it's like, 3 stories or more?
Yeah, it's a very large building, and it's there's walkways throughout the whole thing, and some of it's on balconies. So it's definitely something to see. Not everybody's cup of tea.
So is it busy enough that they actually have employees and things like that?
I'm not sure what they have in the way of paid employees. I suppose they have a few.
Yeah.
But there are some volunteers that help out. And a new owner took over a couple of years ago, and to his credit, he's trying to revive it, get things running that had stopped running, and to clean it up a bit and make it a little more attractive. So I think he's making a lot of progress in that respect.
I think it was David Start was telling me that some company bought the building to use as a warehouse or something, and then when they discovered what was in the building, they decided to try to revive the thing, like you say, and make it worthwhile.
Yeah, that's what I heard. It's a very good location, and the person or the company, I don't know who exactly, who bought it, had other plans, and they looked inside there and said, we can't take this down, but it did need some work. So they have been working on it, and I think it's coming along.
Yeah, I see they have a car show. It's a massive building. Like, it's a big building.
Yeah, it takes a while to walk through it.
Have you been to it, Kelly?
Oh, yeah, I've been to it twice.
Oh, have you?
When the original owner had it, and it was kind of neat because you walk around and then all of a sudden you come into this big, sort of like a theater almost, where he's got these antique Hammond organs, I guess, or pipe organs or something, and he'll play music while you're standing there. It was pretty neat.
It's $25 a person to go through. It was $35.
It's gone up. It was.
What do you charge to go to Medford Park?
Donation.
Why don't you guys charge?
Because that's part of our rental.
Oh, that's right. That's part of the agreement with the city, isn't it?
Yep.
All right, because you're just down the road from the international airport.
That's right.
I was listening. What was I listening to? Oh yeah, viewer mail number 94, and you were telling us that it was international airport, and I'm like,
yeah.
And the Russians are flying in there or something.
Well, they used what is it, the Aero? What is it? What's the name of the big, huge one?
I wonder how many people they get through this Northlands thing, because it's $25. I mean, that's not. You got a mom and a dad and 2 kids. You're talking $100.
Yeah, it wasn't that much when I went through it.
Yeah.
Huh. I think they do offer discounts here and there. I'm not sure. I thought they did.
And they have annual passes for $112. I guess some people it seemed like it's like a real going concern. You can get a 4-person annual pass for $300.
Well, here says the Anna Marie has a partnership with us, so the Anna Marie members can get a discount.
Oh, there you go. Perfect.
Yeah.
So you had your Garden State thing there, and I'm looking at. See, that's because I was looking at your newsletter that you write, and that's how I ended up. So, how often do you guys meet? Like 4 times a year? The gardens.
Yeah, 4 times a year. Which but we try to have something significant going on, not just a little get together or something like that. So we do different things. Once a year, we meet with the New Jersey division to the south, and sometimes we try to do off-site events. We've done several things in the past, so it's not just a little get together. We actually try to make a real event out of it.
Okay, cool. Now, now I'm going to go look at the Penn Central magazine because the latest PC modeler. You say you finally put together your first PC modeler e-zine. I don't know if I care for that word, e-zine. It seems like a lot to say. And you did the layout for that?
Yes, I did. I had some help in making it look a little bit better, but that's what you do. You pool your resources and pull it together. Several people in the Penn Central Society are big modelers, and we realized that the future of these railroads that are now gone is in modeling to try to keep it alive. And Penn Central's not that old, but it's starting to get old now. And modeling PC seems to be more popular than ever. So we wanted to do something like this because several other historic societies put out these modeling magazines, and we wanted to join them on that.
So is it okay? It says volume 23, number 2. So have you been putting out some sort of a magazine for the last 23 years?
Yeah, and that's the regular magazine.
Okay.
From the society. Yes, and that started in 2000.
Okay, and this PC Post, is this something separate then?
Yeah, the Post is the regular magazine. Right now we have it published by White River.
Okay.
And they do an excellent job on it. People may know, or if you're a member of a society, you may have a magazine published by White River because they do a lot of them.
Right.
And they're printing and the presentation they do is terrific.
And then you have something else called the PC Modeler. Is that so I see this is issue number. So is this the same? Is there two separate magazines that you're trying to tell me?
Oh, yes. I was referring earlier to the PC Modeler in trying to preserve modeling.
Right.
Versus the magazine. Now, we've had some modeling in the magazine, but it's focused much more on employee stories and history kind of stuff. And these magazines you put out on a PDF that people can download, there's really no page limit. You just run as many photos as you want, and you can't have a society magazine that's 3/4 building a locomotive, but you can run 15 pages on a PDF magazine that you put out.
Right. So there's two magazines. I'm confused.
Well, it's hard to call. I really don't call PC Modeler a magazine because it's not really printed, but it's.
So hang on. Now I'm lost here. I was on the site. No, wait a minute. I got to go back this way.
Okay. The Post is prototype. Modeler is modeling, basically, right?
Yeah, the Post is the regular society magazine that most societies put out.
That White River publishes for you.
And White River does it.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's called PC Post, and you've been doing that for like 23 years.
Well, I haven't been doing it.
No, but the PC Central has been doing it for 23 years. And then on top of that, you have this thing called PC Modeler, which seems to be free to just about anybody.
Oh, it's free to everybody.
So you don't even have to be a member of the society to look at that.
That's right. So that's to encourage Penn Central modeling and hopefully get a few new members while they're at it.
Okay. Yeah, because it says download here. Boom. And there it is. Right there.
Yep.
And that's doesn't the New York Central Society kind of have the same thing? They kind of have a society magazine about the railroad, and then they have a modeling magazine too.
They do. The PRR Society, the PRR TNHS, I guess SCL, ACL does. And I think there are a few others, although may not be published regularly, that have done this.
I'm looking at some pictures of Steve Campbell's Penn Central high top railroad, and man, the modeling looks spectacular on it. You got to get a Facebook page started so we can see lots of pictures of your layout.
Okay, I will do that.
I absolutely insist. I'm afraid. Yeah, I insist. You have because it's so cool to look at people's work. You know, we got our buddy, the Queso Cowboy, Tom Jacobs, and he's got a Facebook page, and we've been following along on the progress of that. And it's like you don't want to hide all the great stuff you're doing. You want to share it with the world. I think, anyways, personally. So how many people are in the Penn Central Society?
We were around, I don't know, 640, 650, something around there.
So that's not bad. Are you losing members or are you gaining members or?
I think we leveled out the last couple of years, but from the beginning, we've gained just about every year.
Okay.
And it's taken quite a while for people to become aware of it. We have a table in Springfield every year, and just about every year there, someone says, "Oh, I didn't know there was a group for this." And we've been around 20 years now.
That gets kind of annoying, doesn't it? So is the group only 20 years old?
Yeah, so it's 23 now. It was created in 1999.
Wow. And when did the Penn Central turn its last wheel?
The day before Conrail. So
it had been dead for like 30 years almost, 20 years basically before the society started.
Yeah, so you go to April 1976. Yeah, so it was 23, 24 years, depending on how you want to count that. And after the demise of PC.
And were you one of the original guys starting the society?
Almost. I was not at the organization meeting, and I regret not going. But at the time, I had a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and if I told the wife I was running out to Altoona to meet a bunch of guys I've never met before and talk about railroads and drink beer and watch trains, that just was not going to fly.
Right. And just looking at their Facebook page, they've got almost 8,700 people following the Facebook page.
Okay, there's a Penn Central Facebook page?
Penn Central Historical Railroad Society. Or Railroad Historical Society, yeah.
I can't look at it right now because I cleared the cache on my computer earlier today, so then I have to log back in and all that stuff. And it says, you've asked us to require a 6-digit login code when anyone tries to access your account from a new device or browser. When you receive it, and I wonder when I'm ever going to receive it. I guess they're supposedly going to mail it to me.
They usually text it to you.
Huh. Do they have my number?
You'll find out somewhere.
Yeah. And it says here, didn't receive a code? Nope.
Oh, God.
You got to clean out all the cookies and stuff off your computer every once in a while. Then you got to get yourself all fired back up again. What else can we ask you, Jim? Like, so you remember you're the guy. So how were you the guy? How did you, and it says you've made decals and stuff for the Penn Central?
Yeah, I used to use CAD a lot at work. I'm an engineer. And knowing CAD, I was able to draw things, characters, shapes, letters. And I decided we needed some better Penn Central decals. So I came up with a couple sets, and a few other guys have worked on some sets. And then the society offered to sell them. Some I made before the idea of the society selling them came up, and others were made specifically for the society to sell.
And what? Look at that! I got my code. If you save this browser, you won't have to enter a code when you log in from this browser again. Save browser. I'm going to save this browser so that I don't have to continually log in. And I've hit the continue button, but nothing seems to be. Oh no, something's happening now. There's Facebook. I'm back on Facebook. So what's the name?
Oh boy,
life is going to return. What's the name of the group?
Penn Central Railroad Historical Society.
Okay. Now, Bruce? Do you know if Jim has what's the name of your layout? What's at least the name of your layout?
It's the Newark Terminal.
All right.
Yeah, I'm not finding that on Facebook yet. I wonder what's going on.
Yeah, I've typed that in a couple of times on Facebook, and I'm not seeing anything. What is it with you? Who was it we talked to, Bruce? Steve Kramer, the guy that was running Indy Junction.
Oh, yes.
And he had a fantastic layout. He had like a 1,300 square foot layout with a dispatcher and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
I said, "Do you have it on the internet anywhere?" And he goes, "No." I said, "Well, where can I see pictures of it?" "Well, there's not really any place to see pictures of it." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me? In today's world, like people want to see your stuff. Is there any place on the internet to see pictures of your layout, Jim?"
No, there isn't right now. But I'm working on that Facebook page.
Oh, there you go. He's realized that he has to do something.
I think this podcast has taken a whole different turn. Well, now it's not about finding interesting people to talk to. It's now finding out all the people with cool layouts.
It's beating him into.
Yeah, it's finding all the people with cool layouts that don't where we can't see any pictures of them. That's going to be my new quest. What is it about this hobby, Jim? What is it about this hobby? That's what I really want to know. I want everybody to tell me what makes this hobby so fantastic.
Well, I think it attracts all kinds of different people, every kind of different person, and with a common interest, pulls it all together. Any background and job and education, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, like you must have met people you must have met people because of the Penn Central Historical Society that you wouldn't have met otherwise.
Yes, quite a few.
Yeah, and so there's a bunch of pens. Is there any? Does any of the major manufacturers even make any Penn Central stuff?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff coming out these days. Just about everybody offers Penn Central decorated cars and locomotives, and they're actually, for the most part, they're very accurate. Back in the day, you had these Tycos that were green locomotives and all kinds of silly freight cars lettered up in make-believe Penn Central schemes, but that's long ago now.
Wasn't it Penn Central was there? Well, how did the Penn Central form?
Between the merger of the Pennsylvania and the New York Central. And the company was actually created a few years before as a corporation. But then in 1968, February 1st, I believe, it was created as an operating company.
And wasn't it just basically am I remembering this right? The Penn Central is just basically a mess from the beginning?
It was a mess before it actually started running trains.
It inherited a bunch of messes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And it was, I don't want to offend anybody, but I always said the Penn Central saved the PRR from bankruptcy because that's where they were headed.
Okay. Well, let's offend people because that's half the fun. But okay. So the New York Central Railroad and the Pennsylvania Railroad were both in some sort of financial bind, I guess, and they decided to create one big railroad, the Penn Central.
Yeah, quite a few railroads were in trouble, and we don't want to leave out our New Haven friends.
Okay.
New Haven was forced to merge into the PC in 1969.
When did the PC actually start? Like when did it actually? What was the day when these two railroads first came together?
Oh, I believe
roughly.
It was,
what roughly?
I believe it was February 1st, 1968.
Yeah, that's what I think it was.
Mm.
So the Penn Central,
I really should know this, but I haven't thought about it in a long time.
You should have. Well, if you had a Facebook page, you'd have it right up there on the Facebook page. Hey, Kelly.
Yes.
Do you have a Facebook page of your layout?
I actually do.
Do you?
Yeah, but I haven't put anything on it yet. I created it so it wouldn't be taken.
Well, you might as well put something on it. You've been working on your layout, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been working on it.
Do you do
slowly.
an hour? Do you do an hour a day? Because if you don't, and the Queso Cowboy finds out, he's going to be mad.
The problem is I don't do an hour a day. I do. Let's see.
He does 55 minutes a day.
Yeah.
No, actually, it's probably more than that because I got micro trains and Campbell's and the park.
Right.
I'm 24 hours a day, probably. I don't know.
Yeah, but on your layout, though.
My layout, no, probably about 15 minutes at the most.
So the Penn Central, what year did we say? 68?
February 1, 1968.
And then and Conrail started in 76.
Yes, April 1st, 76.
So Penn Central only really existed for 8 years?
Yeah, that's it. Very short.
That's how much of a mess it was.
Yeah, and what made it a mess was like it was. Do you understand do you know much of the history of the Penn Central now, Jim? Because you must.
Yeah, I could talk a little bit about that.
Well, you can talk more than a little.
But out of the 8 years, they declared bankruptcy after 2 years. So that 8 years was really bad. 3/4 of it was in bankruptcy.
What a mess, eh? And didn't I not see somewhere on in the internet sometime there was a Penn Central film or safety film or something, and it was just a complete gong show because they were trying to get money from the government or something. And
that's the one they just did before. They were just for Conrail, just for the merger. They were trying to suck money out of the government and produce this work of fiction.
Yeah, that was earlier than that. I don't remember the date, but it was in a bid to get more government funding. So the early 70s, probably, or maybe right around 70.
And it was some sort of film they made that was just made the railroad look like a total gong show, didn't it?
Yes, they wanted to show that the railroad was a mess, which they probably didn't have to try too hard to do.
You got to wonder, there's a bunch of executives sitting around going, there's a bunch of executives sitting around going, well, I wonder how we could get more money out of the government. Why don't we show them how bad this is?
Well, there you go. We need money to fix this mess.
Well, to talk about the history just briefly, the deregulation in 1980 is the only thing that made Conrail successful. And Penn Central never had that, and Conrail would probably continue as a money loser without that deregulation. So the way everything was set up with Penn Central service area declining in industrial carloads and things like that, they really didn't have a chance.
So what was the deregulation? What was that all about? What do you know? And do you know anything about that? Like, what was that exactly?
More freedom to set prices and also to allow for abandonments. The other thing is that Conrail was freed from providing passenger service.
Okay.
And that was a huge burden.
Right, exactly. Because once the railroads were deregulated, so up until that point, the government was had more of a control, or there was only so much a railroad could do. They couldn't abandon certain lines into little towns and things like that, whether they lost money or not, because the government had some sort of regulations that they had to follow.
Yeah, I could imagine that the paperwork must have been tremendous working through all that.
Yeah. So Penn Central lasts 8 years. And do you have recollection of seeing Penn Central in action?
Yes, I do. As a little kid, I remember drawing the logo. The PC worms.
The worms.
Yeah.
Worms, yeah.
and that god-awful color they had for their cars and their cabooses.
That greenish color.
Yeah, did they ever paint any of the locomotives that color?
No.
The locomotives were just black with white lettering on them. So then so that's where your interest in the Penn Central comes. We now know that Penn Central lasted approximately 8 years. It was because of government regulations that they couldn't be successful.
Well, I will add that they messed up enough on their own as well.
Yeah, I think there's got to be something to it there.
Yeah, they had incompatible computer systems. They had union rules in effect. So the idea of any crew getting on any locomotive didn't work. Was it the New York Central? Maybe they had armrest requirements where the Pennsy didn't, or vice versa. So
really,
just all kinds of things that were not worked out.
Wow.
So any kind of economy they were expecting wasn't coming.
And where exactly? How far east and west. So that must have covered a fairly large area, the Penn Central, eh?
Well, New
Yeah.
York to Chicago.
New York, Chicago, and Boston to St. Louis, the
Yeah.
general
Wow.
points. Oh, plus the Canada Southern through Canada.
Indeed, up through southern Ontario, crossing to Detroit.
Yeah.
What was the Canada Southern, Bruce?
Crossed at Buffalo, ran through southern Ontario, St. Thomas, and those places, and then crossed through the Detroit-Windsor Railway Tunnel at between Detroit and Windsor, of all places. Imagine that.
Yeah, imagine that. So
But
then
they had a big New York Central had a big yard in Windsor, which was taken over by Penn Central and subsequently Conrail.
and then Conrail was born, and then Dave Abley showed up. Uncle Dave shows up, and the rest was history.
The rest is history.
Have you ever operated on Dave's layout?
Yes, several times.
Several times. And
Yeah.
what's that like? Does it not seem to you like it's like going into the Keebler Elf cookie tree? I mean, seriously, yeah, it's a very lovely home. It's very well maintained inside. It's a lovely family. It's a beautiful, it's a Rockwell painting kind of place. And you go in, and then you kind of go, you turn into the kitchen to go downstairs, and because it's such an old home and it's got these big, thick foundation walls, and you kind of walk down, and it's kind of like almost kind of, and you're thinking, and it's kind of like going into the Keebler Elf cookie tree. It is. That's the best. And then when you get down there, there's the Keebler Elf himself.
I'm afraid I'm going to think of it that way the next time.
It's the only way to think of it.
Yeah, the only problem with Davey has no enthusiasm.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That's the problem.
Yeah, he's much too quiet.
Yeah. I've been talking to him about that, and I've been trying to encourage him to be more enthusiastic and engaged with the whole hobby if we can. Whenever I need a fill-in podcast, I just do a fireside chat with Dave, and I ask him a question, and go upstairs, make myself a sandwich, come back down, and he's still going. How can you not love Uncle Dave?
Yeah.
No, he's a great
Absolutely.
guy.
How far? And so you said he's about 35 minutes from you.
Yeah.
And so you must operate on some of those other layouts like Jerry Dezix and Ted Pamperin and all these guys around there.
Yes, I've been, I don't know, most layouts you consider. I mean, Dave Ramos, Ted's. I was at Jerry's a couple weeks ago. I wouldn't call myself a regular on any of those. Part of the problem is there's not enough days in the month to be running out everywhere. If you have your own layout, you got to work on your own stuff too. And I really appreciate the invites, and I do try to attend when I can. But I really just can't show up to 6 or 7 layouts a month. It becomes too much.
But every layout you go to, Rich Winisky's there, right?
Yeah, Rich. I see Rich a lot.
Yeah, we call him the Whiz. He's the Whiz. Ever since he was a young boy, he's played the silver ball from Soho down to Brighton.
You must have seen them all.
Ever since I was a young boy, I played the silver ball. From Soho down to Brighton, I must have played them all. Well, I ain't seen nothing like him in any amusement hall. That deaf, dumb, and blind kid sure plays a mean pinball.
Okay, so then, and where did your interest in Central New Jersey come?
I'm not so sure about that, other than it's a very New Jersey railroad. And it's very appealing, I think, the equipment they had, the paint schemes, and that's also local to where I live. And it's the kind of layout where I can model just about a little bit of everything, because it's what they call the Big Little Railroad. That was their own nickname. And I think that's true. So they had some big-time railroading and really big-time commuter service, but not overwhelming. So you can model some of this and that and capture the railroad pretty well, unlike PC, which has many different types of railroad, from the electrified trackage, freight-only trackage, and the lines out west through the plains, and the Boston and Albany mountain terrain, and or Mountain Train in Altoona also. There's all kinds of different railroads that made up Penn Central.
I had a good question. Hang on, don't tell me what it was. It's a good question. Oh, have you ever ridden New Jersey Transit?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever? What are their stations like?
Oh, they're all pretty nice now.
Oh, are they now?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I have some knowledge of the guy that's in charge of all the stations.
Yeah, if I ever had a problem, I know who to complain to, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they've upgraded a lot of stuff over the years, and they're continuing to work on stations as well because they deteriorate over time. So you do have to do upgrades and rebuilds. But when NJT started, they just had a whole mix of stuff, and a lot of it was broken down. But money and time has pretty much turned that around.
Yeah, exactly. So how come you don't seem to belong to any New Jersey? Is there a New Jersey Central Historical Society and all that kind of stuff?
Yes, there is one.
Do you belong to that?
And yeah, I am.
Okay.
I'm a member of that.
But you don't have any. You don't seem to be as involved with that one, I guess, as you are with Penn Central.
That one is really just a magazine and other material that the head person puts out. It's not really the same as your regular historical societies that we know of. It's also a little more based on employees.
Okay.
But I find the stuff interesting and useful, so that's why I'm part of that. Now, Jersey Central is also a big part of the Anthracite Railroads Historical Society.
Oh, is it? Anthracite Railroad Historical Society.
Yeah, the ARHS.
Bruce, are you working on that? Bruce is on mute. Did Bruce leave?
No, he's there. He's still there.
Oh, no, I'm here. The numbnuts next door is firing off munitions right outside the window. And it's getting noisy.
Oh man!
It's Canada Day full swing celebrations going on.
Yeah.
It's like a war zone around here right now.
Is it Canada Day today?
Canada Way on the first day of July.
I'll tell you, it might be. You might think, but it's nothing like being down in Florida you can hear people firing their guns into the air. And you're thinking to yourself, I'm going to go back in the house so I don't get hit by something.
Hit by a bullet.
Yeah, exactly. So what was that again? The anthracite,
Anthracite,
the ARHS?
ARHS, Anthracite Railroads Historical Society.
Are you sure it's not the Amherst Regional High School, home of the Vikings?
No, it's anthracitesrailroads.org.
Anthracitesrailroad.org. That sounds like a lot of.
The organization consists of almost 1,000 authors, historians, road employees, photographers, model railroads, and just plain rail fans who share interest in the railroads that serve the anthracite coal mining region of eastern Pennsylvania.
Send me a link there, Bruce.
Which would be the Lehigh Valley, Reading Company, Central Road, New Jersey, Delaware, Lackawanna, and Western, Lehigh, New England, Lehigh and Hudson River, and affiliated railroads. So yeah, I'll pop that.
I actually want you to send me a message right now. So it can also, the ARHS could also be the Amherst Regional High School, which is located in Amherst, Nova Scotia. And it's the home of the Vikings. Go Vikings. So, okay, tell us some more about your railroad. It seems like you're keeping it a secret. You don't want the world to come in and see it. You don't want to put it on the internet. You got to tell us more about your railroad. We got to figure out what questions to ask so we can find it. What's your favorite part of a model railroading?
I actually like diesel and freight car detailing and painting the best. And that came on pretty early. I was inspired by a few articles and the early RPM meets that were around. And
oh yeah, we got to talk about that.
Yeah, so back when people started modeling from photos, it's like, this is pretty neat. Because anybody can buy something that's close, but to really, really make it look like the photo, it takes a little effort and not necessarily a lot of effort, but at least some. And that's how I kind of got into that.
You're lucky because I think you're on this is the last podcast we're ever going to do. because now I'm on the Anthracite Railroad's Historical Society.
Another rabbit hole.
Oh
Another
my
rabbit
God!
hole.
Look at this thing.
Isn't that something?
Holy moly! I highly recommend everybody go to anthraciterailroads.org.
Mm-hmm.
That's a rabbit hole you can go down.
They got some railroads with great paint schemes there.
Oh my
Those, man.
God!
Yeah.
I hate this podcast. This podcast was just the goofiest. It's like, why did I do this to myself? It was like some sort of. It's the FD&S Volume 26, Flags, Diamonds, and Statues.
Yeah.
Is what their newsletter is called, and I wonder how many members they have.
Well, that's taken from the Heralds, the FD&S.
Mm.
Yeah.
The Heralds.
A flag, a diamond, and a statue.
Oh, I get you.
Yeah, very
I see
clever.
I
got
get
the
you.
Lehigh flag, the diamond from Reading, and the statue for Central New Jersey.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm.
And this has got how many? So they must have. Do you ever sleep?
Well, I seem to be doing railroad stuff all the time.
No kidding.
I do get my sleep, but I'll tell you something. I do cut out some other things. I haven't found anything worthwhile to watch on TV in some time.
Yeah, I haven't missed much there.
In fact,
What about the Leafs? You don't watch the Leafs? The Toronto Maple Leafs? If you get ESPN Plus, you can see about 60% to 70% of their games.
no, not even that. We even dropped our regular TV from cable.
Did
We
ya?
have access for on-demand things, movies, and some other programming on demand, but I can't say I've watched TV in a year, regular TV.
Okay, well, sign up for ESPN Plus. It's like $7.99 a month, and you can watch a lot of the Leaf games. And you don't have to watch them live. You can watch them like they're saved. You can watch them like a week later. So if you get behind, you don't have to feel bad about it.
But instead of TV, you could always put on a podcast or something.
There you
like
go. That's
There you
true.
go.
There you go. That's why why we don't do video, because we want you to be able to work on your layout and listen to the podcast at the same time. Man, this Anthracite Railroad's Historical Society is cool.
They got a nice hat.
Do they?
They do. It's only $21 plus shipping. So.
Wow. Yeah, too bad I have a giant melon.
Yes, there you go. That's the problem.
What size is that hat that you wear on the podcast? Or
Mine?
What do you call that hat? The sports car hat. The one you were wearing when you got 3D scanned.
It's a flat cap.
It's a what?
Flat cap.
Oh, okay. What size is it?
I'm just looking. I can't see it.
Because you got a giant melon too.
I think it's a large. It's either larger.
What are you laughing at, Kelly? Have you looked in a mirror lately?
Oh yeah, all the time.
They have T-shirts too. You're just nothing but a problem, buddy.
I ripped the tags out, but I think it's a larger, extra large. Because normally I'll go with a. Sorry, I moved away from the microphone. Normally I'm between like a 7 5/8 and a 7 3/4.
Okay, I'm a little bit bigger than that. Whatever size Colosso is, that's my head.
Yeah.
Okay, so you like detailing. Okay, so let me ask you this question: when do you find time to be detailing locomotives and cars with a layout that size? Like, how do you budget your time? Like, how do you figure out what it is you're gonna? Do you do it like most model railroaders, where you do it by, tonight I feel like doing this, or do you sometimes have to just bear down and work on certain stuff whether you want to or not?
I usually do what I feel like, but I did concentrate on expanding the layout without doing any modeling during that time, because recruited a couple of helpers and they were coming over every week, and I had to be ready for them to be productive for a couple of hours, whether that meant running out to the store for something or just figuring out what certain grades and dimensions are. So I can concentrate, but I do bounce around a lot.
Do you belong to the Operation SIG?
Yes.
Oh, of course you do. Well,
Now,
of course.
throwing it back to operations. You said you're operating part under timetable and train order. How did you pick up and learn timetable and train order?
At first, excuse me, at first operating on a few layouts in North Jersey, Ted Pamperin for one,
Right.
and Jerry Diezik. And there's a few layouts I've been to that use timetable and train order. And I just started learning more about the ways to operate, and that seemed like something I wanted to incorporate. And with the C&J side of it, I thought it would work really well because you need a certain layout that will give you some conflicts, and that's where the fun is. If you just have a single track line that runs out somewhere and comes back, it doesn't really matter whether you're timetable and train order or not. There's no meets, there's no other passing, there's no conflicts going on. So you really need a layout that has passing locations in certain areas where you can then have these conflicts, and people have to look at their order and think about it. And I'm far from an expert on this stuff. I think I'm still learning a lot. But there's a lot of material out there that you can read about. Opposite Group published a couple of really good books.
Yep.
And just doing it, you learn a lot.
And it seems like a lot of people like it because it seems kind of suited for model railroads. Because it's can be intense sometimes, getting the orders and figuring out where you're supposed to be and all that.
Yeah, I think it gets really intense when someone messes up and it doesn't belong somewhere.
Yeah, that's true. I've been yelled at by Jack Ozanish.
Yeah, so haven't we all? Yeah, but I did it the second time I did it on purpose. Just because there was nothing better than getting yelled at by Jack.
Especially when he's smiling on.
Well, the second time he was yelling, and he kept getting more aggravated because I started laughing. Not laughing, ha, but, kind of giggling while he was doing it. And
he was a sweetheart.
Oh, he sure was.
Deep down, he was a sweetheart.
He absolutely was. I see the Anthracite Railroad. Do you guys do any kind of Zoom meetings like the Penn Central guys, or do you get together online or anything?
The officers have been meeting by Zoom, but not as a group. However, we do have an annual convention, and that's always a blast.
Yeah? How many people would you get out to that, roughly?
It depends. Last 2 years, it's been varying between 50 and 70, I'll say.
Right.
And we have a really good time. Maybe the reason is that we know this is not a really great railroad, to say the least. I mean, even at the end of the NYC or PRR, I mean, they had a long history of being a great railroad. Penn Central had no history of being a great railroad. So, we don't pretend that.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So, it is what it is. And it's a really neat kind of operations and equipment they had. And geographically, they had a huge variety.
So they get 50 to 70 people out that's how many people we had for Tomstock. I'm wondering if we should start an AML Historical Society.
There you go. They have a monthly meeting on Zoom. Look at their webpage. They got a monthly meeting on Zoom.
Oh, apparently they didn't tell Jim.
Apparently. There's one December 9th.
There you go.
November 11, October 14, September 9, August 12th, and July 8.
This is all for the Penn Central?
No, for the Anthracite.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, yeah. They do their Zoom meeting. They're a little more hip than the Penn Central guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've attended some of those meetings, and they do have them recorded.
They record them as well?
Yeah, 4 members.
Okay.
Members can access it.
Which 4 members are they?
Yeah. Insert rim shot here.
Yeah, definitely.
So, okay, aside from detailing, detailing locomotives and cars, are you a fan of the new locomotives and cars that you get from manufacturers that require almost nothing other than a bit of weathering?
I am, because I've got lots of things to do, and I know I can detail a locomotive, and I know I can paint and decal a car. I don't have to do 100 of them. I've done quite a bit, and I want to do a lot of stuff to satisfy myself that I'm able to do it. Like I've done the wiring, the track, and scenery and balancing and tree making, and the backdrop painting, and all that stuff. But I don't need to prove to myself again and again that I can do it because I've already done it. I've learned it.
Right.
And there's other things to do now.
What kind of track do you use?
Usually the Atlas Code 83.
Okay.
And what was the Schinehauer turnouts. I do really like the New Walters turnouts.
Right.
But painting really helps a lot. So I paint all the track.
All right. Do you have any tricks for painting the track, or do you do it with an airbrush, or?
Airbrush is definitely the fastest way to do it. I like rust shot sideways, like a brownish rust, and then the railroad tie brown shot straight down. I think that works pretty well. But going back and putting different grays and browns on individual ties helps a lot also.
Oh, yeah. Except for the fact that your layout is massive. What do you have, like about 42 miles of actual track there? Like when I'm definitely putting this layout up on the website because it's pretty complex.
I guess it is. Part of what I wanted was to provide interchange,
right,
and interaction between trains. So through freight comes to the yard, drops off cars. Cars get transferred from one railroad to another, and then a different train picks up those cars and brings them somewhere else. So there's some cars that move 3 times in a session. Cars just don't come out of a yard, go to an industry, and sit there.
Right.
They get shuffled around, and I think it captures the interaction of trains themselves working.
And how long would one of your operating sessions be?
Right now, a full session is close to 6 hours, but we break
6 hours.
Wow. Yeah, but I break that into 2 3-hour sessions.
So like it's an all day sucker kind of thing. You work on it all?
No. So it's half an hour, or half a session 1 month, and then the other half of the session the next month.
Okay. Why are they so long? Like, what is it? Just because there's so many trains to run?
Yeah, there's a lot of trains to run. Probably 25 or 30 trains get run.
How long does it take to? So when I'm looking at your track plan here, the red tracks are
C&J,
and the green is Penn Central. Is that right?
Yes, and my Newark terminal is my connecting road, which is a jointly owned property.
Okay. On the track plan you sent me, it says photo 2, photo 7, photo 8, photo 9, 10. What is that of?
Well, I'm going to have to send you a clean copy. That was for an article, so we can't talk about that at the moment.
Oh, it's an article that's coming up.
Well, I don't know. We'll see.
Or you're not sure?
We'll see what happens.
Did you send it to a magazine, or is it just sitting on your desk?
No, it's out, but I'm having some difficulty locating photos along with permissions, so it's bogged down, let's say.
Okay, you're having trouble getting permission for photos of your own layout?
No, prototype photos.
And would this magazine be west of Detroit? Possibly.
Oh, I think that's fair to say.
Oh, okay. So why? So you included some prototype photos, and you got to find the guys that took the photos and get some permission, that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, it's a little more involved in first of all getting era-specific photos. I mean, I can find a postcard from 100 years ago, and I can go out there today and take a photo. But finding a usable photo from the early 70s has proven very difficult. Where I can also have the permissions, because photos even show up on the internet, but sometimes you can't even find who owns them, so they're unusable. It's not the easiest thing to put together, but right. I give it a shot.
All right. Well, yeah, keep working away on it. And you don't necessarily have to include prototype photos. You just do whatever you want for sure. It's just that this layout the world needs to see this layout. I'm telling you, Jim, the world needs to see this layout.
Well, I appreciate that.
So what do you know about RPM meets?
Oh, I'm a big fan of them. I went to one of the very first ones that was held up at Rensselaer.
Oh, really?
And I can't think of the date, but it was really one of the very first. And I really had no idea what an RPM meet was at that time. And I go to any of those in the eastern area I can make. And there's a few active ones, and there's a few. Well, there's one that has been around in New Jersey. I don't know if it's going to come back or not, but I'm a big fan of them.
What, an RPM meet is the one that's been around New Jersey? You're not sure if it's coming back?
Yes, well, one person started it, and another person took it over.
Oh, okay.
But it takes a lot of effort to organize, and I don't know if it's going to continue. It's not continuing this year. We'll have to see about next year.
Then you must go to NERPM, do you? Excuse me.
Oh, yeah, I like it up there. However, I couldn't make this year. I was really disappointed because it's always a good time.
How come you couldn't make it? I'm surprised you even had it if you weren't there.
Well, I think I have an excuse in that I bought Ringo Starr tickets 2.5 years ago, and he played that Friday night. And, Ringo's 81.
Yeah.
I don't know how long he's going to be around, but I think the RPM meet's going to be around a lot longer.
And boy, I'll tell you, 81, Ringo Starr is still rocking it out there.
He was great.
He is great. I think I'm going to see Frankie Valli in a few weeks. Who Loves You, Baby? No, that's who's that? That's
Telly Savalas.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Who Loves You, Baby? Although he didn't say Who Loved You,
pretty baby. Da, 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 da. What's your favorite, Frankie? What's your favorite Four Seasons song there, Kelly?
Oh, The Lion Sleeps at Night.
Oh yeah. Okay. Is that is that Frankie Valli in the Four Seasons?
I think so, but it's not their. I don't think it's their original though.
No, I think they did an excellent. Yeah, they did a good cover. Yeah. What about you, Bruce?
I gotta go with the Who Loves You, Pretty Baby one. We're just butchering by trying to sing.
Is it butchering or is it just really bad singing?
Yes, let's go with yes.
and that's that was the only thing I did not like at Tom Stock. That was the thing that I found to be actually quite unnerving, was that Kelly had brought his own karaoke machine wherever we went. He wanted to belt. He kept wanting to belt out a tune, and I'm like, enough with the New York already. New York.
Start spreading the news. I'm leaving today. I want to be a part of it in New York, New York. This vagabond.
Mine's Walk Like a Man. Walk like a man. Da, 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 da.
That's what I was going to say if you asked me.
Okay. Well, why don't I ask you? What's your favorite Frankie Valli song?
I'd have to say Walk Like a Man.
He said, walk like a man, talk like a man, walk like a man, my son. No woman's word crawling on the earth, so walk like a man, my son.
You know, the one thing I'm looking at the one thing I want to ask you about your layout is you got this swing bridge in there?
Yes.
Did you build that yourself?
Oh, sure.
Well, don't say it like that, because I tried to build a swing bridge more than once in my life, and I am a complete and miserable failure at it.
Sorry to hear that, but mine worked out.
But yours is curved and everything. Oh, my goodness gracious. Are you like a craftsman when it comes to woodworking?
No, but I am an engineer, so engineering may have something to do with it.
Yeah, there you go. So what kind of control system do you use?
Digitrax.
And how do you find that? I find Digitrax complicated.
You know, I think NCE has really come ahead in the past several years, but I bought my Chief set in 1999, and I guess it was 1999. And that was clearly the best system at the time.
Right.
And I am very comfortable with it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Because you've had it going for 20 plus years, you know how it works, and you probably have no problem explaining it. Have you ever tried doing like the Wii throttle thing, where you use your phone? That's what Dave has.
Yeah. Dave loves those. I'm not really a big fan, and maybe just because I'm much more familiar with the Digitrax throttle, where I almost don't have to look at it. It just works well for me.
Right, exactly.
Another odd thing, sort of an odd thing, is that a lot of the North Jersey guys are NCE.
Right.
And a lot of the guys more to the south are Digitrax.
Really?
And I think just it may be because
it is a group
there's
thing.
Operating groups.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it ends up kind of being, the guys you hang out with, you kind of have a tendency to go with that system because, there's people that can help explain it to you if you get yourself confused in that.
And some of my operators have their own throttles, even though they don't have layouts.
Okay, well, there you go. This has been pretty interesting, Jim. How did you think it went?
Oh, I think it's fine. I'm enjoying this.
All right. Well, don't get too comfortable. We're getting near the end. We only have so much network time. The network only gives us so much time. Because, we're on a restriction, a time restriction. Bob Hope show is coming up next.
Yeah. A curfew, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, yeah, curfew, a time limit, that kind of thing. Any questions you want to ask, Bruce?
No, I think we're good. He talked about his, how wonderful the OPSIG is and how he likes timetable and trade order operating and just hanging out with other model railroaders. So that kind of covers it.
I'm kind of annoyed about this anthracite railroad.
You're going to be up till about 3 a.m. on that.
Looking at this thing, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. You're hooked.
Well, I was listening to the Scale Trains interview that was released a month or two ago, and on there we ended up talking. I was looking on their Facebook page because they have a Facebook page, and I was looking at their Facebook page, and they had this picture that somebody had recreated, and it was by Train Wizard Productions, and it's this guy that recreated. I think I told you about it, didn't I, Bruce?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we got to interview that guy.
The list keeps growing.
I know. And there's a guy by the name of Mike May who I stumbled across one night looking at Russian car crash videos, and they said, "Hey, are you interested in model railroading?" YouTube did. And I just stumbled across this guy, Mike May, who has this beautiful the Alaska Railway.
Yeah.
And he spoke up and everything, and then he sent me a friend request, and he doesn't even know I want to talk to him, but he's a friend of George Bogatux, the Soundtracks guy.
All right.
What's your favorite decoder? What decoders do you use there, Jim?
Well, I have a love-hate relationship with Loke-Sound because I think their flexibility and the sound files are terrific, but I just always seem to have some problems. So I will say they are my favorite.
Okay, yeah, but people have been having problems with them lately, haven't they? So they seem to be getting more complicated, or it's not working, or whatever.
Well, they are very complex, and a lot of people like that flexibility. But I also use some of the Soundtracks Tsunamis because I don't need to customize every little bit of sound sometimes, and there's still a lot you can do with a Tsunami, but I don't create my own sound files or anything like that. So the ESU products may just be a little more than I need.
What's the next big project you got coming up on the railroad?
Oh, I'm working on scenery now on that double deck section.
You know the guy you got to get you to help you with that. This is a guy that is insistent that he's no good at scenery. He can't do it. He struggles to get anything done. And then you open up the latest issue of Railcraft model. What's it called? Railroad
Model Craftsman.
Yeah, that's one now. That one. RMC.
Our buddy Otto will be on you for butchering the title.
Yeah.
Sorry, Otto. But Railroad Model Craftsman. And there's a big article by this guy named Chris Adams, who does beautiful scenery. Have you ever been to his layout?
I haven't, but I've met Chris before.
Oh yeah, and how did that go?
Oh, fine.
All right.
Yeah.
And Kaylee, and Dave Owens, and Rich Winiski and Jack Trabuccino. And have you ever been to Tom? Have you ever been to Tom Schmieder's?
Oh yeah.
How's he coming along?
Oh, he's coming along well. It's a huge undertaking that he is creating in his basement.
That's what I'm thinking. It's like massive.
It is.
Do you think we should have him on the podcast? I was saying that to Dave. We should maybe get him on the podcast.
Oh, I think he would have things to talk about.
I hope he's got a Facebook page, or else I'll be grinding his gears too. Because it's so easy to share. You have got to get a Facebook page, because I'm telling you, people would really, really enjoy seeing your layout. I got a funny feeling that your layout is pretty impressive. All I've ever seen is just the track plan, but I got a funny feeling it's pretty impressive.
Well, maybe I'll only show you the good pictures.
Is there any picture? Well, that's the only pictures you put on the Facebook. Is only the good stuff. If you notice all the pictures that I put on Facebook of myself are only the ones where I'm a particularly strikingly handsome man for my age.
Ooh, insert crickets.
I was wondering how that should be described.
I'm thinking,
dead air. Is this on? Is this on?
Yeah. Hello? Is this mic on? Oh, and Ron Kleisch, I've met him. Have you got any of his stuff on your layout?
I have a kit of his, but I don't actually have it on the layout.
You haven't got it built yet. That's right. All right. Well, that's pretty good. That was pretty.
Yeah, Ron comes out with some nice stuff.
Ron is doing a great job. And Ralph Heiss. Oh, you went to see him playing some music there a week or two ago. How'd that go?
Oh, that went very well. Yeah, he was doing a little acoustic set with another guy at this small brewery, microbrew, and I didn't even know it existed. It's only about 10 minutes away.
Right.
Yeah, he sounded good. And the beer was really good.
Oh, there you go. And have you ever seen Uncle Dave, playing with Ralph? Have you ever seen that?
Not with Ralph.
No. Have you ever seen Dave playing? Well, does Dave play the bongos when he's having an operating session?
I thought it was the triangle.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly.
Cowbell.
That's right. We need more cowbell.
That's it.
That's what we were.
More cowbell.
Him and I were doing something. I forget what it was we were doing. Him and I were doing something. And my message to him was, I got to have more cowbell. I kept saying, whatever it was he was doing, he wasn't doing enough of it or doing the right thing. And I kept saying, I got to have more cowbell. And anyways, yeah, Dave claims that him and Ralph will occasionally get together. And I said to Ralph, I was giving him the gears, and I said, well, if you play bass and Dave is on the congas, I said, that's not a band, it's a subway stop.
There you go.
Before I die, I'm going to see these two guys together. What is wrong with me? Something wrong with me. Anyways, this has been a lot of fun. So will you be on again in a year or so, and give us an update? By then, you'll have your Facebook page up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoy this. Yeah. I'd like to be on again if it works out.
Yeah, if it works out.
If you want me.
If it works out. What do you think, Bruce? Did it work out?
I think so.
Okay. Kelly?
He's got you occupied for the rest of the night, so yeah.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
I think he's destined to be have the Kelly questions done.
Yeah, he's going to be the official. Jim, you might end up as the official Penn Central guy of the AML Nation.
Yeah, really.
Okay.
That's a heady responsibility, buddy. Don't be accepting it until you think it through.
There's probably more Penn Central modelers than our S scale.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh God, I'm gonna pay for that one.
Yeah, you're not getting back on the bus. Okay, that's it. Bruce, Kelly, can you give out our email address?
Yes, if you want to reach us through the magic of email, you can reach us at modelerslife@gmail.com. That's modeler with one L like Penn Central, not two L's like Phillipsburg.
Phillipsburg. Ooh, nice.
Yeah, I've been
nice. Well,
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a whole list here of stuff, but they're all 1Ls.
Yeah.
I could have gone with Jersey Central. I even had I had lower, 1L in lower, not 2Ls in level.
You
That's all
could
you
have
go.
used Central Railroad of New Jersey.
Yeah.
Oh
for
yeah,
two
that's
Ls.
true.
Or
Yeah,
Bell Mead or Amwell
Mead,
or
yeah. That's
Yeah,
what I was
yeah.
getting. All this stuff coming off the plan.
And what? Oh yeah, and this is on the free channel. So if you didn't catch that email address, and you just there's an easier way to do it. You just go onto our website, which is amodellerslife.com, and you scroll down a little bit, and there's a picture of the moderately agitated mailboy in a particularly agitated state. And not only that, and if you just click on that picture, boom, the address is already filled out for you. All you got to do is put in the subject line in the text of your email. But, and if you like that picture, you got to go get yourself, hey, you know what I was going to, Bruce, did you know this?
No, I don't know. Why don't you tell me what it is, and then I'll tell you.
Kelly, this is going to blow your socks off.
I got my socks on, so let's see what happens.
So I took Bruce the mailboy down to the world headquarters of Mini Prints.
Oh,
Yes.
Bernard Helen and Mini Prints. And Bernard is very, very gracious. Very, very gracious. He's helping me with my One More Year charity for the hospital. And so this year for sale is Bruce the Moderately Agitated Mailboy sitting on his pillow and 2 milk crates.
Exactly.
And it turned out great.
It turned out great. It turned out amazing. Yes.
Guess how many, Kelly, as of this recording, guess how many he sold?
Let's see.
It's only been a few days. So
Okay,
They went on sale on Monday.
Monday. I would say probably 125.
well, that would be good. But like 70 is pretty good too.
Oh yeah, is that what he did say? That's good. Good.
Bernard sent me pictures of the ones he's doing for me in G scale. I'm looking pretty good in G scale. It's massive.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm getting a couple in G scale too. I don't know what I'm going to do with them, but I got to have.
You have to have them sitting on your desk or Barb's desk next to a little Lionel.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what I'm. Yeah, that's probably what.
Yeah.
It'll be something like that.
And she'll be looking and going, "What the hell now?"
And Kelly, when did you tell Fred the Sock that he was in charge? When did you tell Fred the Sock that you were in charge?
I didn't tell Fred anything.
Well,
the picture's out there. Fred's pretty agitated.
Yeah. The picture's out there. The caption's out there. It says,
oh yeah.
It says you told Fred the Sock that you were in charge.
I did.
Yeah, that's what it says it says it on the internet. If it's on the internet,
It's on the internet. It's true.
It's got to be true.
Fred better watch her. He'll get darned.
Yeah, he'll get darned. Woo. Yeah. So there you are. Jim, are you still here?
I am.
That's good because you got something to do sooner or later.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, really.
So hey, Jim,
Yes.
have you ever wanted a T-shirt with a hot dog on it?
Oh, that'd be neat.
Wouldn't it though? And if you go to Midwest Model Railroad, where do you buy most of your model railroad supplies?
Actually, I spread my money out all over, and I do try to buy from a local hobby shop if possible. But I'm always open to trying new places.
Okay, well, you'd be very happy. If you do any mail order type online shopping, go to Midwest Model Railroad. Then they are located in Independence, Missouri. If you went to the actual store, it's 15,000 square feet, and it's like walking through a real-life Walther's catalog. It's unbelievable, this store that Stephen Atwell and his dad and his family have made. And but if you just go to their website, and the URL is midwestmodelrr.com, and you go to the navigation bar and go scroll all the way to the right and click on AML, boom, you are in a wonderland of AML merchandise. Hats, hoodies, mugs, T-shirts, whatever you could possibly need. And there you can get a T-shirt with a hot dog on it.
Great.
So do you think you'll be doing that?
I'm going to do that, and I may have to put that on the Facebook page.
There you go. Well, wouldn't that be cool? Hot diggity dog. Hot diggity dog. You get that? You see that segue there?
Nice.
I think that's. Oh yeah. And this is also on the free channel. And if you feel like there's one free podcast a week every Monday. And if you feel like that's not enough and you need twice as much, you can go to our Patreon page, and there's a link to that on the website, and just click on the Patreon link. And for just 365 payments of 16 cents a day, you can have twice as much podcasting every week. And that channel
sounds like a deal.
That channel, on Tuesday, that's referred to as the Antics channel, and it was Kaylee Zhang that came up with that name. She refers to it as the Antics channel because we have fun over there. And I think that's it, is it not, gentlemen?
Mm-hmm.
Can you help us now at the very end here? There's something you got to say. Are you going to be able to do it, Jim?
Yes, I can.
Attaboy, confidence.
Confidence. I love that. He's like, oh yes, I can do that. Absolutely. Are you kidding me? He says. All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Well, Jim, as we close the barn doors on another episode of A Modeler's Life, and the sun slowly sets over the back 40, I guess there's nothing else left to do except for you to say,
Happy rails to you.
While in Busted Knuckle, guests of A Modeler's Life podcast stay at the Casa del Sol Motor Court and Inn, where late-night dancing at the Rumba Room is a magical event to be experienced.
It's another Lincoln Homer.
wow, I don't think I even told him that, did I?
No, you didn't.
No,
you didn't.
He just
was
did it.
full of confidence. I got it.
Holy mackerel, way to go, Jim.
Wow.
Holy smolies. I think that may
It's
be
out of
one-
the park. It's gone. It's another Lincoln
Yeah,
Homer.
that was deep to center field.
That's probably the first one, right?
Yeah, I think it might be where I never told the person what to say. They just did it.
Oh, so that's. I guess he's listened to podcasts.
I guess
before.
you've listened to the podcast more than once.
Yeah,
More
I
than
heard
one.
that somewhere before.
There you go. Well done.
Well done is right.